morning, everybody. I think summer's finally here. It's actually real now. All right. So, in case you haven't noticed, you are standing in the Star Store building. This is a place. I think a lot of people have gotten a heads up roughly what we're going to be talking about today. So instead of like jumping right to it, I'm going to give a little bit of background, right? So the Star Store, the original Star Store dates back all the way to the 1840s, right? It's been a mainstay, a central point of activity in the downtown, going all the way back to the height of the whaling era. And from that point until about 1914, it was a small sort of dry goods shop, but then it became this grand department store that so many people who really over generations grew up here recognized this as the place where you go shopping downtown. And it was the center of retail activity really until the mall was built, right? And then it closed up in the late 80s. And then from there, it became, it was empty. It was empty for a long time because a building like this in a market like ours is hard to redevelop. Eventually, it became, in 2000, it became a center for the College of Visual and Performing Arts, and where it served downtown very well for some 20 years or so. And in that place, this became, again, an anchor institution. It became the successor to the Swain School of Design. How many people here remember the Swain School? There's some people, yeah. It's okay, you're not gonna be dating yourself, but it's okay. It's all good. Yeah, Carol was 5 years old. But look, New Bedford's had a long tradition of being a center, a regional, if not national center for the arts. And it goes back, and these days, being an artistic center is something that mayors and cities strive to cultivate, because a lot of good can happen from it. Bringing artistic people into a place where ideas are exchanged and cool stuff is made is something every city wants. Not every city is able to pull it off, in part because it kind of has to happen naturally. You can't sort of superimpose it on a particular piece of geography and say, okay, we want arts to happen. It's got to happen organically. And the good news for New Bedford is that's been happening for the better part of 200 years, going all the way back, again, to the whaling era, where not only were there some very wealthy people who patronized the arts, but a whole lot of creative folks who are coming from all parts of the globe to talk about their ideas, and that begot a whole lot of great creations in the city. So when we talk about the great artists who are from here, like Albert Pinkham Ryder and William Bierstadt and William Bradford and all these others, it's because this is a place that has always cultivated creativity. It's always been open to things that are new. And so it was, as it ran all the way through the point when this place was housed the College of Visual and Performing Arts. I'm not going to go into detail about what happened a couple of years ago. I think it's still painful for a lot of people. But this, as we all know, this place shuttered pretty abruptly. And so the city had to say, as we do, we don't shy from responsibility, even when, someone it's easy to say it's somebody else's fault. It doesn't matter that it might have been somebody else's fault. It's for us to fix. And so we did. We went about the work very deliberately about how to bring this back. We tried for a while to convince the state to reinstitute what was here through UMass under some other arrangement. That didn't go that far, suffice it to say. But what we did do is we went ahead and very deliberately tried to figure out what this building realistically could be. And so we did that work, headed up by Derek Santos and Ramon Silva, who we gave them some ARPA funds to go out and figure out what could happen here realistically. There's some things that can happen, some things that can't. It's a big building, 150,000 square feet. And so that yielded, and this is my first prop of the day, yielded this report. Now, we had done a couple of other studies on what this building could realistically become. But we hired an outfit called JLL, which is one of the leading real estate consultancies in the country, to figure out what makes sense here and what's financially realistic. I wanted to lay all this out, just take a moment to lay this out for you, just so people understand, like, well, both the deliberateness of our approach, but also like what the span of possibilities were. So a big downtown department store, and other cities have department stores that are configured this way, is essentially like 4 warehouses stacked on top of one, in our case, because it's 4 floors. And so when a real estate developer comes and says, well, you know, what could go there, you have to look at that configuration. So we talk a lot about building housing in the city. We talk, obviously, and we're doing a lot of that. Just witness all the construction projects, for instance, just on Union Street alone. But also office space, we want, looking at hotels, we're looking at all these other things. And the reality is that the configuration of the building limits what we can do, what we could conceivably do here. It's not the condition of the building. The condition of the building is, despite reports to the contrary, the building is in good condition. It needs some work. What the problem fundamentally is, if you want to change the use, you basically have to hollow out the center of the building. Like if you were to build housing here or an office space or something else, everybody needs a window, right? And in the middle, if you're right in the middle, you don't have a window. So this is why, in order to turn it into, say, a hotel, you'd have to put a hole right in the middle, and that would make it cost prohibitive. You wouldn't be able to make money doing it. So one thing you could do here, surprise, surprise, is you could create artist studios and lofts and programming, performance arts programming. You could do retail on the street facing out on Union Street. You could do a lot of other flexible things that artists like to do. And we have a few artists in the room here. Raise your hand if you are an artist. That's good. I knew you guys would show up in earnest for this. Raise your hand if you have 0 artistic talent, right? All right. So, anyway, we can, just for the media, we can send you electronic copies. We're not going to kill a bunch of trees handing this out. But I raise all this. I raise all this because I wanted people to know, because a number of people had lots of ideas about what could happen here. We went ahead in a very deliberate way to figure it out, like, okay, what's financially feasible. So that said, we started talking to an outfit called the Arts and Business Council of Greater Boston. And Tony Sapienza, Derek, Ramon started in earnest to think about, along with Margot Saulnier, whom you'll hear from, started to think about, like, what kind of arts center could this be? It's in a great place, after all. There's the Z, and there's the Z's $30 million plus $37 million renovation going on, and here we are in really an avenue of the arts here on Purchase Street, which we really want to accentuate. So bringing this back to an artistic supporting use was very important. So the Arts and Business Council in Greater Boston's mission, and its Executive Director, Jim Grace, is here. You'll hear from those guys in a second. They're in the business of supporting artists. They do it up in the Boston area through a number of ways, right? Artists, as all of you know, often are small businesses. They provide a whole lot of support for those types of small businesses, legal and accounting and IT and all that stuff, and programming. But they also retrofit buildings, and not just in the Boston area. In fact, maybe not even primarily in the Boston area. They retrofit buildings to serve artists' physical needs, their needs to have space where they can do their thing. So they've had a couple of really successful projects outside the Boston area. In Lowell, Massachusetts, for one, there's a massive project on the Merrimack River that they've retrofitted for all manner of artistic uses, and that includes some retail along the way, along the side of it, as well as another one, the Boys and Girls Club, former Boys and Girls Club in Worcester, as well, and they're also looking at other things. So they are a perfect fit for this, which is a building that has operated to support the arts for the last 20 years, and it's sort of, and it's, again, it's, the building isn't falling apart. It's in good shape to do that and plug and play. And by the way, the biggest strength here is the people, the arts community here, which is incredible and nationally recognized. So that's the backdrop for all this. So how do we get that done? How do we bring them in? So what we did was, we had, so the owner of the building, Paul Downey, somebody we engaged with, but we also wanted to make sure that things were moving along. So he had some back taxes. We, the city, in order to advance this, filed a case against the building in tax court and land court in order to sort of bring this up to tee it up for some sort of deal. The problem with older buildings like this is that they don't get better with age. They're not like wine. Instead, they deteriorate. The longer something like this sits, the worse it gets. And this is, and being a very large building, that would be a very big problem. It's just for any developer, for any use to take on, much less the more difficult uses that we had more or less ruled out in that JLL report. So thanks to Tony, thanks to Derek, thanks to Jim and his team at NBEDC, we're able to at once enter into an agreement between the EDC specifically and the Arts and Business Council of Greater Boston. And then we've figured out a pathway to settle the tax case in order for Paul Downey to donate, to settle his taxes, to pay up his taxes, and then to donate it, the building to NBEDC, which all that happened on Thursday. So this is where we are. So I appreciate everybody's humoring this long windup, because I can't just say behold, it's not done yet, but here's what's going to happen now. So, and this comes straight from the agreement. I'll just sort of paraphrase it. So the Star Store, in its next incarnation with the Arts and Business Council of Greater Boston and the EDC together under their MOU, it will implement a dynamic branding that proudly embraces the vibe of downtown New Bedford while offering first floor uses that are widely open to the public and generate new foot traffic that benefits all of the downtown. And the street level uses are of great importance to spur economic activity, and best efforts will be made to utilize a portion of the first floor for dynamic retail uses that encourage gathering and performance opportunities. A lot of folks have said that this place needs to open itself up to the public, and that fully is their intent. So that includes performance spaces, exhibition, placemaking exercises, all of which will be first rate because of the folks who are involved in this, while the number and diversity of artists and arts-based organizations and higher ed partners that call the Star Store home will create a building alive with activity day and night. So it's pretty cool. So this place is going to be lit up, and it's going to be terrific. So what happens from here is that there will be a follow-up to the JLL report to determine exactly what repairs need to be made, and it's primarily the roof, it's primarily some HVAC work upstairs, some facade work on the side, some code updates, and other mechanical systems work. There'll be an advisory group that will be assembled as well. And it's underway. It is now, this place is now owned by the Arts and Business Council of Greater Boston, and I can't thank these guys enough for the expertise they bring, the capital they will bring, and their willingness to work with our fantastic artists. There are a lot of people to thank here. I want to begin with Tony Sapienza, Derek Santos, Margot Saulnier, Ramon Silva for seeing all this through. I mean, they really recognize the opportunity that NBEDC presented to the city to advance this really complicated project, this really complex space, with a very complex political backdrop and tight finances and all that. none of this stuff's easy, and we're, just so grateful for their efforts. I want to thank Jim Grace and his team at NBEDC for their willingness to take a plunge here in New Bedford. New Bedford, as you've heard me say so many times, it's its own place, and so it's for a lot of investors from Boston. It is seen as a place that's sort of far afield and not connected up to Boston. There's good and bad with that, of course, but we appreciate that they recognized really all of what you guys do, which is you just do great stuff here, and there's a real embrace here of all things artistic. I want to thank a number of people who work behind the scenes as well. Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, with the support of Governor Healy. They recognized that this thing had to get fixed. We had to get this thing back on the road, and they were very supportive of our efforts along the way. I want to thank Eric Jakes, our city solicitor, who is never attends press conferences because there's no reason for the lawyers to attend press conferences, but I wanted him here today so I could publicly thank him for navigating all the craziness with getting the tax case settled up, along with Sherry Pizzino, our city assessor. The tax case has been, that has now been put to bed. There's one filing that has to be done that's rather perfunctory, but it has been approved by the State Department of Revenue as well as the Board of Assessors. And I want to thank the support of our state delegation as well. Steve Willett, you were the only one who didn't have a conflict today, Steve, so I appreciate your being here, but I appreciate the support that they give along with the City Council as well. This is I'm thrilled, I know you are, to get this thing back open again. There's a lot that can happen here, and it's going to be left to all of us to work with NBC as well as the EDC to get this open. And I know there are a lot of people who are really invested in all of this. The city, of course, was. So many of you who were here. I want to thank Fallon Navarro for all of her efforts to bring attention to the Star Store. I know you didn't think you were going to be put on the spot like this, but what you did was fantastic. It was very difficult for a lot of students who were effectively kicked out of here to deal with this problem, but they also, and they're still dealing with that decision. But I just want to say, I really want to thank you for your advocacy. It really did make a difference, and you and all the other students who are involved in it, and in many ways this effort is to make right by you guys. The last thing I just want to say is I have a little thing to present Jim Grace on this occasion. Fallon, you'll recognize this, but we're really grateful for your embrace, Jim, of this place, and we got a little something. Tony, I want to come on up. This is, I think this is going to fit. Ethan's got his. I think it does fit. We're good. Anyway, let me, with all that, I just want to invite up Tony Sapienza to say a few words. And again, I just am so grateful for Tony's efforts in helping put this deal together. He was the grease and the gears to get everybody to come to the table and make things happen. Tony.
Thank you, Mayor. I never thought I'd be here for this occasion, but here we are, and I am just so happy. We at the New Bedford Economic Development Council have understood the value of the arts community to this city. It has been part of our economic development strategy for as long as I've been chair. That goes back a number of years. And kudos to Derek and to Margot, because they have implemented what we have said all along, that the arts will drive business in New Bedford. You've all seen the economic status report that we did last year, the number of artists that are working in New Bedford, all of the economic impact from companies as well as the institutions like the Whaley Museum, like the RJD, like Co-Creative, all of the organizations that are so much involved in the arts. These are what we have done, and I can only say that to have a partner like ABC and Matt and Jim to come to New Bedford and to take this glorious building and turn it back into something really, really special is absolutely a wonderful thing to be a part of. So thank you all, and just welcome this group to be here today and be part of this incredible experience. Thank you.
I want to, so next up, I want to call up Jim Grace, along with Matt MacArthur, who's the real estate director at NBEDC. Matt's going to become a New Bedfordite, as I understand it.
I'm working as quickly as I can to Bedfordize myself.
Yeah, that's right. We'll send you to the re-education camp soon enough. But just again, I can't say enough about their willingness to dive in. This is, and I will say to them, this is the best investment that your company, your nonprofit has ever made. You will see soon enough. But I want to thank you guys again, and just ask you to one or the other of you to come on up and you're going to flip on it. Matt, you're up.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks very much. Hi, everybody. Hello. Happy day. It's the beginning of something incredible. Lots and lots to do, and I'm so excited to do it with you guys. I'm sure I don't have to tell anybody in this room that New Bedford is home to world-class creativity and art making. It's all here. Makers, artists, small creative businesses, and all of that world-class talent deserves world-class resources. Right? You guys deserve everything that there is to offer to support your practice, whether it's a small creative business, whether it's making incredible art, whether it's exhibiting that art. You guys deserve great stuff, and that's why Jim and I are here, is to make great stuff for you. We are going to turn this building into a nationally recognized example of how a municipality, a nonprofit organization, and a community can all come together and support the creative people that make this city great. And this is not easy. It's not going to happen overnight. It's really tempting to be like, okay, it's open, let's go, everybody upstairs. But as Mayor Mitchell said, there's quite a bit of work to do. And while we, and more specifically, I am here in town getting all of the physical work that needs to get done. I'm so excited in partnership with Margot and her team to begin all of the listening that's going to be needed in order to make sure that what we steward back into this building is what you all actually want and need. I'm completely off script now. So a big heartfelt thanks to Mayor Mitchell, to the Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, to Tony, to Derek of the EDC, to Margot of New Bedford Creative, and to my colleague and partner in this work, Jim Grace. Together, you guys all express the determination, the vision, and the courage, frankly, to take a difficult situation and well, do something with it. I'm thinking to take a difficult situation and put it on a path to serve the citizens of New Bedford for generations to come. And I'm trying to keep it together up here, so I'm grateful that I get to do all this with you. Thrilled that today we're going to start that process of working with you and all the members of the creative community here in New Bedford to bring this building back to life. And a quick plug, head over to starstorenb.org, smash the sign up button, tell us a little bit about what you make, give us your email, and so begins the process of us engaging with you to figure out exactly what to put back here. Thank you so much for having us. We'll see you very soon.
So next up, I wanted to invite up Steve Willett, one of our state reps from the Bedford delegation to say a few words. And I do want to recognize Al Medeiros from Tony Cabral's office. I had a great conversation about this with Tony. Unfortunately, he's had a long scheduled trip out of town and couldn't make it. I also want to thank Mark Sylvia and Chris Markey. I had great conversations with them about this project as well. But Steve, I really appreciate your support. Just ask you to come on up and say a few words.
Thanks. Very briefly, some of you folks might not be aware of it, but like 25 or 30 years ago, we had what was called a regional congress that was actually working toward cultural events here in the New Bedford area. And that's how AHA actually came to fruition. So I'm very, very glad that the arts are going to continue. I'm sure my fellow delegation, Representative Sylvia, Hendricks, Markey Cabral, we all appreciate the effort, and we'll do whatever we can to keep this rocking and rolling. We really appreciate the effort in the city. Thank you.
All right, so I think everybody in this room knows Margot. She needs no introduction. We just call her Margot. I don't even, yes, the sorceress, as I like to call her. She hates it, when someone has a nickname for you and they keep bringing it out. But no, I say that to emphasize just how much she gets accomplished in ways that mystify me, but she does. And it's because she's so well respected and so well liked and devotes so much passion to her job. So this is her next big project. So she's going to tell you what she's going to do. All right, Margo, come on up.
So much. And Mayor Mitchell, it's sorceress, but it's spelled S-O-U-R-C-E. Sourcing the arts and culture sector in New Bedford. So good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here today. New Bedford has always been a city shaped by creativity. From the shipbuilders, blacksmiths, and textile workers of the past to the painters, performers, and makers who define its spirit today. The artists, makers, and creatives are not just part of our heritage, they are central to our future. In this seaport city, the creative community is an engaged and powerful partner driving social, economic, and cultural growth. We see it in our neighborhoods, in our festivals, in our public art, and in the way creativity invites us to imagine new possibilities. Here, each and every person enjoys the opportunity to experience a diversity of cultures. Here, art is everywhere, encouraging fun, provoking thought, and nurturing the soul. New Bedford Creative and the New Bedford Creative Consortium is an essential part of the work of the EDC. And we work every day to bring this vision to life through strong public and private partnerships. We're proud to collaborate with the City of New Bedford, Mayor Mitchell, the City Council, and our state delegation, with support from our colleagues at Mass Cultural Council and Mass Development's TDI program, and generous private partners like the Barr Foundation, Bristol County Savings Bank, and the South Coast Community Foundation. And today, we're honored to welcome a new partner, the Arts and Business Council of Greater Boston. Where we are standing here today is more than a building. It is a symbol of what's possible when creative people are given a space to thrive. From a historic retail landmark to a vibrant home for artists, the people of the Star Store bring energy, talent, innovation, and economic vitality into the heart of our downtown. Preserving the Star Store is about more than preserving the past. It's a bold commitment to the future. For our city to thrive, we must protect and invest in the spaces where artists live, work, and inspire. Doing so is good business and attracts other investment. Let's continue to work together, because when we invest in our arts and our culture, we invest in our people, our pride, and the enduring promise of a city that creates its own future. Thank you so much.
I can't believe I've been spelling your nickname wrong all this time. The last person I want to call up is Katie Lowe. Katie is the proprietor of Shimmer, right across Union Street, and Shimmer sells really fantastic beauty products. Even if they weren't fantastic, because my wife wears them, I'd say they're fantastic, and I'd have no choice. But they are, in fact, they are fantastic. And she's fantastic because she has a terrific following. And I asked her to come on up because a number of businesses in the wake of the shuttering of the Star Store, the CVPA, a number of businesses really suffered. And one of the great benefits that we see of the reactivation of this site is the spin-off support for small businesses in the immediate area, and what that begets as well. Couple that with the housing that is being built up and down Union Street. In particular, we're going to see in the reopening of the Z, we're going to start really to see an uptick in activity in the downtown, which is great. But I wanted to ask her to come on up to talk about what it means to have foot traffic nearby, because it does make a difference for all of our retailers. Katie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here today, although you didn't tell me I was going to go after Margot, so. I've worked downtown in different capacities for almost 20 years now, and 6 years ago is when I chose to open my storefront right on Union Street. So I've seen a lot of changes, some very exciting, some not so exciting, but something that I've come to learn about keeping a business alive down here is the constant need to adapt. We've weathered a lot, from a COVID lockdown in my first year of business to major supply chain disasters, not once but twice. It's been a lot. And on top of that, we're constantly having to shift with how the public interacts with our community, or more specifically, probably how they're not interacting with the community, which is why vibrant, active spaces are more important now than ever. They give people a reason to come downtown and engage with our community in a meaningful way, more so than what you can get delivered to your doorstep. So when I first opened Shimmer, I was so excited to be right across the street from the Star Store. There was always something exciting going on in these windows, from student exhibits to working looms. And my first holiday stroll here, there were ballerinas performing in the windows, so you could watch the performance while you supported small business. I won't stand here and say that the students were my biggest spenders. They definitely were not. But that's not the point. The energy that they brought to this corner was infectious, and it benefited everyone. So 2 years ago, when the building closed very suddenly, it affected all of us. It created a void right in the heart of downtown. A prominent building sitting empty does not go unnoticed. It sends a signal, and it's not a good one. Downtown thrives when all of its sectors are doing well. The arts, the small businesses, the community centers, and the public spaces. We can't afford to have a void in any of these. So today, with the news of the Arts and Business Council stepping in, I'm very excited that they'll not only be filling a building, they'll be reigniting a cornerstone of what makes this area so special. And that, combined with the soon-to-reopen Zaytirian Theater, with all of their new programming and several new event spaces, are going to give people fantastic reasons to come downtown and to keep walking up the hill, to walk up from the ferry, walk up from the Whaling Museum, walk up from the new train, and really into the heart of our creative and entrepreneurial community. So I am very excited about what's to come, and I can't wait to see how it benefits all of us. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Lots of work ahead, and we don't have a ribbon to cut, so I'll just open it up to questions from the media, and if I can't answer it, then I'll turn to Tony, and he can deliver.
How's the construction going to be financed?
Well, that's really an NBEDC question.
We're going to have to fundraise for it.
Yeah. In the same way, if you look at their project in Lowell, that's the same way they did it. That's actually a bigger facility.
Is the public is the city considering contributing funding to do the construction?
Everybody asks me for money, Ben. That is not something that has come up. So we don't have like a budget line item for that. So I'm not about to answer that question today. But we will find there are myriad ways in which we can support the project.
And state funding?
I don't work for the state. Are you asking Steve?
Yeah.
We'll certainly look at every option. I mean, obviously this is new, so we've got to put the feelers out there, but at least the governor and the lieutenant governor are aware, and we'll be poking around to see what we can do through the various.
Yeah, not foreclosing any possible funding source, but these projects have been for A and B, C primarily privately funded.
So the opening is TBA?
Yeah, I mean,
TBD?
Yeah.
So that next year, or is there kind of an estimate?
The way I would put it is our goal is to work as efficiently as we possibly can to get it reopened without sacrificing all the conversations we need to have to make sure that what we put here isn't the wrong thing. So, geez, I hope it isn't 18 months.
Well, there's some things that need to get buttoned up right away, right? So.
And how many businesses total or artists total you think you could bring into this building?
Just as many as we possibly can. Yeah, would that be helpful? Just as many as we can. One of the things that Margot and I have talked about a lot is when we begin the process of doing the community engagement to reprogram the building, our hope is that some groups, perhaps by discipline, will start to form. And so we can be kind of ceding control of some of those areas to those community groups that have the expertise in those disciplines. Our work is really about, worrying about the air conditioning so that you don't have to. So our hope is to basically build those kinds of partnerships with the artists and makers and creatives in the community so that you guys can kind of self-govern your own areas while we make sure that, the elevators work and that there's toilet paper in the bathrooms. You would not believe how passionate we are about making sure there's toilet paper in the bathrooms. Don't judge us today, okay? Today doesn't count.
How long do you expect the community feedback to take, and what are the avenues for the community to actually have impact on what comes here?
So like with any community engagement process, right now we are trying to get the word out as broadly as possible that this will be happening. So we are looking at gathering as many networks as we can to get the word out and start that process. In other community engagement processes that New Bedford Creative has been involved in, we not only have in-person meetings and Zoom meetings in the building, so it would be in this space, but also out in the community and in the neighborhoods, so that we are reaching as many people as possible, and that is a multilingual process as well for our Portuguese and Spanish speaking creative community and Cape Verdean Creole. So look for that, and it's why Matt has been promoting the starstorenb.org, because that is the main site that we're collecting everyone's emails from.
What's the timeline for the redevelopment, and what are you expecting the biggest challenges to be?
Timeline is definitely TBD. I'm a very impatient person, and as the mayor rightfully said, this building is by no means a disaster. This building is in very good condition. Donated buildings are often really problematic. This one is not. So thank you. I know Jack has been, keeping the building looking good in the interim, but thanks to everybody who has helped this place not fall apart. Like I said, I hope it's less than 18 months. I really do. That's the goal. It's going to depend on how quickly we can raise the money and how strategically we can sequence the work that needs to be done. It's really important that, and this is what Margot and I talk about every time we see each other, it's really important that these things are happening in parallel, right? It's not, we're not going to wait until we've done this community feedback and listening process to start making the improvements that need to be made, right? Like, I will be on the roof after you guys all leave today. I'm going to take this jacket off. I'm going to run up there, make it happen. Anyway, the biggest challenges are going to be the typical ones, right? It's first and foremost raising the money that's required. It's many millions of dollars that need to be put in to make sure that we have another 25 years or more of making happening in this building. Toilet paper is not expensive, but air conditioning equipment is very expensive. And then the other big challenge, I think is just going to be the right, back to things Margot and I talk about all the time, our challenge with any of these projects is finding the right lane, the right level of involvement from us. And back to what I was saying a second ago, we have to be involved enough that the people in the building are, essentially freed up to focus on their creative practice, on their small business, on their whatever their goals are. But we also have to be uninvolved enough that this thing can live and breathe and be, have its own identity outside of our organization. So in lots of ways, a measure of our success is how many people in the building have no idea who Jim and I are. Everyone will know who Margot is, and I can tell from the applause everybody already does. But folks won't know us because we will just keep the air conditioning running.
Do you fundraise from individual donors or corporate grants? And in New Bedford, is that going to be your donor base, or is it also going to come from Boston and the greater area? Like, who's going to be paying for it? And do you have any price tag for the roof and things have to be done?
I mean, it's like $4 million before we even get started, and so it's that that's just like core and shell, roof and shell, and some new mechanical equipment. But don't you can quote me on having said that number is a very crude estimate, very rough estimate. And then as far as the capital stack and fundraising for these kinds of projects, I don't think you consider yourself to be neither of us are great art makers, right? I mean, Jim makes a mean chili oil. Ask him about it. But our creativity really is in figuring out how to stack all the various sources of capital to make these things happen, and to stack them in a way that doesn't saddle our projects with debt or other terms that are so onerous that it negatively impacts the people who are actually in the building. So we're all about permanence, right? This is going to be a space for art and creativity permanently, and it's going to be affordable permanently. And so we have to be real careful. We have to, basically search every couch cushion we can and figure out how to stack it up so that it can happen and so that it stays affordable forever.
I have a question. It's maybe a Margot question or you. The first 2 floors, when you're talking about potential for retail and for sales, will that be run through the back end of New Bedford Creative, or will that be a leasing option for artists?
Yeah,
TBD. TBD. I do want to just say that Jim, Matt, and I were in San Francisco last week at the inaugural Creative Land Trust Summit. And so we now have a robust network of other major cities around the world and how they build their capital stacks and how they preserve creative, cultural, and community space in perpetuity. So this is a really great moment for all of us.
No, they don't. So, look, I think one of the things, you guys, I mean, as I said, we'll forward this to all the members of the media so you can see what's.
Not that much. We're not trying to raise that much.
It isn't, so fair to say your project in Lowell, which you successfully executed, was a lot more expensive than this one conceivably could be, right? So what the main takeaway is this building is no longer in limbo. There is Boston money that is going to be invested in here, right? And what's in a building that, as everybody has said, is in pretty good shape after all. Buildings always need some level of capital maintenance every year. That building does, that building sure did, that one, they all do. That's what it takes to run a building of any size. You have to continually maintain it. So in the orders of magnitude, this one is relatively modest compared to what else they've done. They have a track record. All right, what else? Are there any other questions?
Can I ask a question?
No, you can't, Mark. You're not, no. No. No, you're not media. We love you. But anybody from the media? Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Beyond the roof and the air conditioning, what are the other big construction tasks that need to get done to make this place open up?
Yeah, I don't know who wants to, you want to? Yeah, just, yeah, go ahead.
Fire alarm, elevator updates, new mechanical systems on the roof and in the basement. What else? Yeah, it's all mechanical systems essentially. There's some stuff that needs to either be replaced, updated, removed that were for specific discipline uses that, you know, that the previous user had lots of ventilation equipment specific to certain artistic disciplines. But it's really the stuff, other than the basement, it's the stuff you can see. A little bit of facade work also, and that's going to be probably a multi-year project. So all the most expensive things, those are the things that need to be done. And then once we're through, or at least reasonably through the community engagement process, then we'll start kind of turning our attention back to the actual layout and sort of interior of the building to decide what changes need to be made in order to prepare it for the specific users that are coming back in. But we're in listening mode on that now, and we're in action mode on the general sort of infrastructure that we just talked about.
All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Lots of work to do, but congratulations. This is big news. Thank you.